we are going to cover who a mandated reporter is, what to look for, and what to do. As educators, you are all considered mandated reporters, which means you are required to report any suspected child abuse or neglect. I want to emphasize that at no time should you conduct an investigation into child abuse or neglect. Your job is to report any possible child abuse or neglect to the appropriate agency. You all play a key role both in detecting and helping abused children. By having daily contact with children and adolescents, you have the opportunity to observe changes in both appearance and behavior that others may not notice. This puts you in a position where you may be the only one who can save a child. In this section, we will go over Child Abuse and Neglect Act, mandated reporter responsibilities, reasonable suspicion. The first child abuse reporting law in California was enacted in 1963 and pertained only to physicians. It mandated that physicians report evidence of physical abuse. As knowledge and understanding of child abuse increased over time, it became evident that other professionals might also be in a position to identify maltreatment. There was a substantial increase in the number of professional groups who were designated in state laws as mandated reporters. The expansion of these groups of mandated reporters was accompanied by a broadening of the concept of reportable maltreatment to include sexual abuse, emotional maltreatment, and neglect. The Child Abuse and Neglect Act was passed in 1980. There have been numerous amendments since 1980 that have expanded the definition of child abuse and the persons required to report. There are also clarification for procedures for reporting. In California, certain professionals are required to report known or suspected child abuse. However, anyone can report. It is imperative that mandated reporters stay on top of periodic amendments to the law. Therefore, SCO will have annual mandated reporter training. Your responsibility as mandated reporters is to report any and all possible abuse or neglect. If you reasonably suspect a child has been abused or neglected, you are required to report it as soon as possible by telephone. You are then required to prepare and send in a written report within 36 hours of reporting the incident. Reasonable suspicion. That means that if, through your training of identifying child abuse indicators, you think that it is possible that a child is being abused, you should make a report. As a mandated reporter, you can be penalized for not making a report, but you will not be held accountable for any reports that are made in good faith and turn out to be untrue. If you suspect, report it. Proof of abuse or neglect is not required. It is the responsibility of child welfare professionals or law enforcement to determine that through their investigation. You are an employee at a school. A 7-year-old child comes to school with patterned red marks on his cheeks. He was absent the day prior. When you ask him what happened to his cheek, he replies that he fell while riding his bike. Do you report this injury? Please see the selection below. Yes, because the injury is concerning for possible physical abuse. This is the correct answer. This is a pattern injury on the soft tissue of the face, cheek, so it's concerning for an inflicted injury. There are no abrasions or other injuries, so the explanation of the injury, falling off a bike, is not likely. Even if the child has not disclosed abuse, these observations should raise suspicion and should be reported so that they can be investigated. 12-year-old Colin, a student in your class, has recently begun exhibiting a variety of concerning behaviors. He has engaged in recurrent fights with other students, resulting in chronic probationary status. He uses verbally abusive language, is frequently truant, and has been suspended once for drinking at school. Over the past year, his grades have declined significantly, and he has withdrawn from all sports. Colin has been absent for a few days, and when he returns to school, you notice that he has a bruise on his cheek. When you ask about his injury, he tells you that his father hit him when he came home late from a friend's house. Based on this information, you are mandated to report suspected child abuse, as Colin has both made a verbal disclosure of abuse and has a visible injury. In this example, Colin has an observable injury. However, it is not necessary to observe injuries to report.